welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. Sorry guys, no fish. It's the DIY section. Now, I can't just sit around because the weather's bad, the rivers are flooded, the seas have got the wrong tides, there's too much wind for my boat. I can't do that. You might be able to sit around, I can't. I have to do stuff. So, DIY for me. Now then, I love a bit of gardening as well, out there in the fresh air, but it can get you into quite a bit of trouble. Like this. Well, I tell you what, that's enough of that. Nice bit of gardening on a winter's day, you couldn't ask for more. All I need now, a nice hot cup of tea.
Have you taken those boots off?
And if that isn't enough trouble to get into, it gets worse. Have you ever come in with your Wellington boots and tried to get them off? Have you tried it? It's next to impossible. It's like this. But hang on, I might just be able to save you the trouble of the boot removal and the walking on the carpet with muddy boots, shoes, Wellingtons, anything is going to get you in big, big trouble. Let's get out there in the garage, as they say in America, or as we call it in English, the garage. That's Australian. Let's get over there, outside, in the man cave, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to make. It's going to be a totally awesome double whammy. To make this dual boot remover and boot scraper, you're going to need a good, solid base support. And what I'm going to be using is this. That's if I can lift it. Hey! This is, you can call it a building block. It's like a thermalite block, a breeze block, but this is a heavy one. This is an underground one. So like you have underground engineering bricks, which are very, very hard. This one is for underground building before you start the foundations or footings of the building. So very, very heavy, very solid. That's going to be my base. Get this down before I drop it on my feet. Some old bits of timber. Could be roof joists. This is bits left over. You can pick this up. Well, you probably go around Skips and find some spare wood. Where you see building work, you're bound to get some offcuts like this. You needed a bit for my boot remover, for my boot cleaner. What am I going to be using? Don't tell the wife I stole them. Yes, broom heads. All will become crystal clear very shortly. Now the first thing I'm going to do is put this nice, very heavy building block flat. Probably the safest place for it. And then with the brooms, the broom heads, guys, just find some second-hand ones. Don't go and buy new ones. We want it for free. Nylon, aluminium, they both got to be removed. Take these off because we're going to be cutting them up totally. Just hang on to these because you never know when you're going to use a holder for a broom handle. Take both your broom heads and cut them exactly in half, crossways across there. Just going to cut them straight in half. For me, I'll put them in a vise, zip them off with the old reciprocating saw. They don't like that. Now this is just a general bristle broom. It's hard to say really, isn't it? That's a general bristle broom. Got it that time. And it's quite stiff, but also these are quite long. I'll tell you how long they are, just in case you want to go into the ironmongers and know, and it is 2 3/4 or 17 centimetres. That's 2 3/4 inches, 17 centimetres long, which I feel is too long because they're quite soft. I want to cut those down about halfway, maybe a little bit over halfway, about 1 inch. I want to cut them back with, you know, a pair of scissors, coarse scissors, or very, very, very stiff nylon. Use a pair of snippers, tin snips, wire cutters. Just work away. It's not you know, rocket science. Just try and get them as straight as you can. Okay, I've snipped back those bristles on the brush. As you can see, I've sawed it down the middle and I've cut it just under half, and that makes 2 side brushes. And I've done the same with the other one. This is a little bit thicker on the bristles there. I cut it just a tad shorter, leaving maybe an inch of bristles sticking up. So the broom head's been cut in half like that, and then the bristles have been snipped down, which makes them stiffer as well. But these 2 are going to be for wiping the bottom of the boot and placed on the block. I'll show you. And these 2 are going to go on the side, but they have to be raised a little bit. You can't just have it without rubbing the side of the boot. Otherwise, if you put them all at the same size, they won't touch the side of the boot and you'll be in deep trouble. So this is basically what it's going to look like. I'm going to have 2 base brushes here, just resting like this. I'm going to screw those down there, and you want to allow about the width of a boot. I couldn't tell you. Here we go. For argument's sake, there. Yeah, you can do it yourself, guys. But this, as you can see, if that's all flush, it's not going to work. These side brushes aren't going to touch. So if you look at all boot scrapers, they have one for the base of the boot, and they have another one further up. So I'm going to put about maybe a piece of 1 by 1 there, just to raise that up. You can wiggling them in amongst these brushes like that. I'll show you. I'm going to cut this off there, drill it, fix it to there, just to raise this side brush up a little bit to do the side of the boot. Now when you're drilling into masonry like this, with a masonry drill I hasten to add, a little tip: if you don't have the right diameter drill and the raw plugs that go in are a little bit of slack, just put some of that dust that's around the edge of the drill hole, pop it back inside, and that helps to pinch it and helps these plugs to bite, rather than have it loose. When you put the screw in, it just spins and spins and spins. So we all like to be able to drill a perfect hole for the perfect diameter plug. It doesn't always work, because sometimes masonry or blocks or bricks just break up a little bit bigger than you want, but you can, as I say, put the dust inside the hole, tap it down, you'll find it pinches up, and then the screw really does bite. there we go, job done. These two will then just tap right inside like that. We're going to drill those in. These two, he says, hopefully, that's what you call perfect measurement. There's the boot wipers. Now, that's in position. That one's going to be drilled in, and then these two can then be fixed on the side. He says looking for the other one, and as you can see, that gives me my two edges for rubbing the side of the boot, and the base is here. So let's keep soldering on. I can't wait to wipe my feet on these. Okay, now to put these two base brushes in, I could drill right through the brushes and put them into the block itself. But it's a bit of a fiddle getting them in and out. If you did want to drill that way, and I'm not saying you can't, you could drill that way if you wanted to. I drill through here first so you can see where the screw is, and you could screw it down like that. But for this particular one, I'm going to put the screws in edgeways, both sides of that wooden support block on the edge. So that way, I've only got to fire them out. I can take them out, clean it, and if they get worn, I feel it's just a bit easier to change in the wood. So what I'm going to do is take the thickness of this, which I don't want the screw going too high or too low. I'm going to measure it just along the edge there, so I know exactly what I've got. It's probably 1/2 inch. I do that both sides, and as long as I put a screw in about there in the middle and keep the drill going dead straight through here into the base of this other broom head, that's going to lock it in position. Done, put it in position, and then just fire those screws in. Now I'm using quite a long screw to go through this here, which is just about 1.5 inches, and I've doubled that, so I want 3 inches, so it's quite a long screw, but it's a thin one. There you go, it's quite thin. I don't want to split the base of this broom head, so I'm using a thin screw there, 3 inches long, and I'm going to fire it in the side here. I expect it's going to go nice and smoothly. That's pinched up tight, no problems there. Same the other side. And always pre-drill those holes, otherwise you're going to find that it could possibly split the wood. It's up to you what size screws you want, but bear in mind your boot is pulling on this, and I want these held rigid, so I'm in here a good 1.5 inches, possibly even a little bit more by the time the screw buries. Now all I have to do, put these ones on, but I'm making sure, as you can see, that it's just overlap and wiggling amongst these other brushes here, and amongst the green wiggles in amongst the black ones. That's the easiest way I can describe it. They overlap, and they're going to be flush up here. And to hold these, all I'm going to do, I'm going to cut a piece of wood there, screw it into this block, screw it into that, and that basically is half of it done. Now I could actually just overlap a piece of wood from the bottom piece of support to the top head of the broom, which is about 4 inches by basically 4 or 5 inches. But I've got a secret weapon to make life easier, especially the ladies might enjoy this one. Well, shall I rephrase that? The ladies might be interested in a little bit extra comfort. I'm going to use a longer piece of wood, and I'm going to base drill this into the base of the block, into the base of the wood there, and another 2 into the side of the brush head there. And I'm going to give that, let's say, you can have it pretty much any size you want. I could say, I would have thought, I like sort of 12 to 18 inches in height there. I'm going to cut that off, mark it off 12 to 18 inches in height, cut it, fit it, and then I'll show you right at the end, and you'll go, oh, that's quite a clever idea. Let's mark it up. Excuse me, who stole my pencil? Now for those of you who want to know, the wood here is 6 inches wide, just a tad under an inch. It's just ordinary wood, but I'm actually going to mark it up. I think I'll make that, I won't make it 18 inches, I'll make it 16 inches. I'm going to mark it up at 16 inches, cut it off, drill a couple of holes, and then fire it into the side of this block with raw plugs and screws. Right, let's cut that off. I can sand it down, and then I'm going to just put a little bit of a pattern in the top of this. I'm going to mark, well, it's 6 inches wide, so I'm going to put a mark, as you can see there, 2 inches in from the edge, 2 inches in from the edge there, and then you can do this dead easy. Look, just with a jam jar, and just mark, get it square so it's coming down vertical. The rest goes around at a 90-degree curve. I can just mark that perfectly, hopefully without the lid coming off the paint, hopefully. At the same level across there, it is there, bring it down so it's adjusted. Mark it again. I'm going to cut that one with a jigsaw. It's just a little bit of a pretty edge, which you'll see in a second. You can also, if you want to, countersink these screw holes, should you so wish, but the wood, I will countersink them, but the wood is that soft, it probably will find the screw's going to bite in there anyway. Then, next one is drilling into that masonry block from the side. It can be a tough one. Make sure you put it on the hammer. Always make sure that you get the screw points centralised into the centre hole of the raw plug. If it goes on the edge, it can split across. You might still get a grip, but it won't be such a good hold. If it's in the centre of the plug, it should pull nice and tight. That's beautiful, that's buried. Then I'm going to put the other screws in the top here. Now, in the base of the wood here, where they've got this 1 inch or so block, I can afford to use a decent sized screw that won't actually go right the way through into the brush area, which is, you know, pretty paramount, because the last thing you want to do is to leave a point on the other side, and when you're scrubbing your boots, or more important your Wellingtons or anything soft there, you don't spike and get a leak in them. Let's get that torque adjusted, fire those two in. So now next time when I put these ones on, I'm not wanting the screw to come through into the bristles. I'm going to get a slightly smaller screw so it's just a little bit shy, get it nestled in there, nice and comfortable. Make sure that these bristles are mixed in amongst the black ones, and then fire that last screw in, holding it down so it's nice and tight, and let's pull that in, and that is actually, let's get that on nips in a little bit, that's it. Okay, that's that side done. I'm going to turn it around. It's the trouble moving the block around to support the other bristle here. Half broom. I'm just going to use another piece of 6-inch wood, but I'm only going to come up to the top here. I don't need to have it extended up here. I'm going to put it flush and mark it with the top of that broom head just there. Cut that and drill it into the base wood and into the broom itself. Same principle, piece of wood goes there and just mark in the middle of the base there and in the middle, if anything slightly towards the top of the bristle here rather than the centre. You can come up a little bit because it adds support to it. Drill it, countersink it if you wish, screw it together. Okay, line your screws up. As you can see, I've got longer ones going into the bottom to give me plenty of support, and a shorter one going in the top because you don't want to go through and then spike your rubber boots or Wellingtons or waders on them. The base ones are always the ones that are going to take a lot of the strain. And these ones just hold the bristles in place, and of course you can change them. Bit of hard wood there in the broom. Make sure those brushes and bristles are cross matched. Just overlap them. And that, in effect, guys, is that side of it done. What, you may ask yourself, is this madman going to put on this side? Well, you can brush and clean all your boots now, can't you? There's no excuses. You're going to get told off when they go on the carpet. But you've got problems taking the boots off. No problem for the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. We got stuff to go here, guys. Okay, now I was actually going to use, well, that solid wood sort of 3x3 and build it up. But looking at it, you know, I don't think I really need it. I'm going to just make it. What I'm going to make is a cut like this, which is a boot remover. And I'm going to use for that, he says, it's not important, but you want a pretty substantial piece of wood for this. And this is an old piece of joist from when I did house building. It's a piece of 7x2. That's just sort of thing for batting someone around the head with when you find them fishing your best fishing spot. Kapow! 7x2. The width of the block, just the width, you call it the depth of the block, and allow about, I'm going to measure a V cut in the end of it, for about 4 inches. So, the block itself is 9 inches, add 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13 inches. 13 inches is the top, and I'm going to cut a 4-inch V back in that. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This one's not rocket science. You can use a square if you want. I'm only going to go to the middle of either side and across there, and just freeline the other one, you know, just freehand it, I think you call it. I'm just going to find the centre of it, so I do have to cut that off and then cut back to that 4 inches middle. So I have 7.5 inches, half of which is 3.5 inches. I come down 3.5 inches. Cross it there, and that gives me my 2 angles that I need to cut out. Now I could come possibly, let's measure the width of a boot, about 3 inches. I'm going to go for about 3 inches across the bottom of the boot. So 1.5 inches either side of that mark there. Now, let me just draw it for you and you'll see what I'm going to cut out there. it's probably just as easy. That's what I'm using now. A black felt pen, which I don't usually use, because with wood you can't get it off. You've got to sand it out, and it's difficult, it's a pain, especially soft wood. So there, if you can see that, is the notch I'm going to cut out. This stuff's no good, that stuff's no good. This is the good bit I'm going to keep. So I'm going to cut along, down and there. Best way to do that, I find, because you don't want to turn the angle of the blade in here, cut this across here first, save that piece of wood, then cut your notch out. My toe! Now this is the notch that you're going to jam your boot in to take it off, okay? But you're going to screw this down onto the block with raw plugs and longer screws, at least 4 inches, because that's going to take some leverage when you're putting your boot in to pull back. 4 holes, 4 raw plugs, 4 long screws, probably 4-inch jobs. Right, that effectively is it finished, except for, you must still be thinking, why does he have that piece of shaped wood on the end? Did he mention about the ladies would love it? Well, when you're standing there, you're scraping your boots, you're trying to hook the boot, and I'll show you later how to do it. You could wobble and fall over, ladies, couldn't you? So what better than a gentleman I am, an English gentleman, I've given you a handle. I'm going to make a handle. It is off an old broom. Obviously I throw nothing away. And what I'm going to hold those on is to the side here, just to give you a bit of support to hold on. You can't leave against it, it's just a mild support, give you a little bit of confidence while you clean those boots, while you take them off. I'm going to put them on with these little half hooks here. Now they are patently obvious. Yes, even a blind man could see they're not going to fit. But to make them fit, you use the Irish screwdriver. Now then, don't tell me they won't fit. You got like to fit, I will make you fit. I'm going to alternate these guys with either side. But put the bracket each side. Get on there. Well, here we go. We've got the boot remover and the boot scraper right outside the door. The wife can't be unhappy with this. Just watch how easily they work. So there we go. You've got brushes on the base and on the side to clean your boots off. When you've got them all scrubbed clean, put them in the V. Just gently ease your foot out of there. I mean, look. Come on, folks. How easy is that? Voila. So there you are. Even though the weather's too bad for fishing, I do not waste my time. I'm in the garage, I am making things, boot scraper, I'm happy, wife's happy, clean carpet, woo, I can go fishing, no aggravation. The Totally Awesome Fishing Show, keep watching, look out for the next Totally Awesome tip.